Well, another sign of pandemic recovery in Washington. Governor Jay Inslee has announced plans to move the entire state forward for reopening a week from today.
Yeah, no question, Nina. This is big news for local business. Tim Gordon got reaction to the news for us in Clark County.
Main Street is showing more signs of life. Restaurants, bars, and other indoor venues are at 25% capacity now. And starting March 22nd, they go to phase 3 statewide.
This means our restaurants, gyms, fitness centers, movie theaters, some of the hardest hit businesses in the Washington state will be able to return to 50% capacity.
We visited Dulin's Village Cafe in Vancouver's Uptown Village when it was doing outdoor and takeout only. Now it's got people inside, enjoying a Sunday brunch in a warm dining room, with twice as many allowed in soon.
It's about time. I'm ready to start enjoying life again, get back in action.
It's Penny Clark's first time dining in at a restaurant during the pandemic. 50% sounds even better.
It's definitely in the right direction. Absolutely. I've been in a one-woman office doing my own thing for a long time, so I'm really happy just to be out.
Downtown, Kiggins Theater has had very limited movies at the theater itself, relying on selling virtual screenings to loyal customers instead. Now it will be able to open up the theater to half capacity on a regular basis soon. Also opening up, sporting events from the pros to youth sports. Fans watched from outside the fence as Prairie High School played Mountain View at McKenzie Stadium this past Friday. Washington will allow 25% capacity in the stands for youth sports a little sooner, March 18th, in time for next weekend's games. Back in Uptown Village, the Tip Top Tavern has survived the pandemic, but it's been a struggle. Patrons here and wherever they like to be are glad to hear half capacity is just days away.
I would love to see that. I would love to see 100% capacity, but baby steps.
So going to 50% capacity next week, and of course the ultimate goal for all these businesses is to open up fully. But for that to happen, we all need to continue to be smart, continue to wear the masks. Health officials say this is not over yet. In Vancouver, Tim Gordon, KGW News.
Staying in Clark County, high school students in the Battleground District are returning to the classroom today, kicking off their first week of hybrid learning. Elementary and middle school kids in Battleground started hybrid learning last month as COVID cases started to drop in Clark County.
Meanwhile, all students in Washington will soon have the option for in-person learning. Governor Jay Inslee says he'll issue an executive order. By April 5th, schools will have to give K through 6 students the option to learn in person at least 2 days a week, in addition to remote learning. For older kids, that deadline is April 19th.
So this is a situation that is win-win-win. I think it's win for the students who want to go on site. It's a win for those who want to stay remote. And over time, I think it's a win for educators to experience that magical moment when they make a connection.
Governor Inslee says the impact of the pandemic has created a mental health crisis among kids, but returning to in-person learning with safety protocols will help. Overnight, Portland Public Schools says it reached a tentative agreement with its teachers to start hybrid learning coming up on April 1st. We will break down the plan in a live report. Stay tuned for that in our next half hour. A retired Portland teacher is out of the hospital after weeks of fighting COVID. 60-year-old Rick Bardi was admitted back on January 15th, delirious and unable to breathe because of COVID. A ventilator wasn't enough. He needed special life support equipment. And his family says they were told he only had a 40% chance of making it. His wife, Julie, was by his side nearly every day. They just got married a year ago, right before the pandemic.
I celebrated my 60th birthday in the hospital and our first anniversary in the hospital.
So you've spent your milestones going through a trial that most people never will have to go through.
Right.
What has that been like? What's your takeaway from all of that?
There's a reason I'm here. I don't know what that reason is, but grateful that I made it to 60. I'm grateful that I could say I've been married a year to a wonderful person.
Oh, hundreds of cards filled the walls of his hospital room with former students and families that he impacted during his 30 years as a teacher. And more than $20,000 has been donated to help with his medical bills. Friday, he was well enough to leave OHSU, cheered on by the staff who helped him survive. He's now slowly recovering in a physical rehab program.
It's amazing. An update now on the COVID outbreak at Camas High School. In-person classes won't return until at least Thursday. 16 students have tested positive for the virus, and 34 others may have been exposed. Officials say the outbreak is likely linked to an off-campus party. The school closed last Thursday and Friday as a result of that.
Let's get to three more things to know about COVID this morning. Number one, it's now been 1 full year since Oregon reported its first COVID death. Over the last 12 months, just over 159,000 people in the state have tested positive for the virus, and 2,322 Oregonians have died from COVID. Number two this morning, several countries in Europe have suspended the use of the AstraZeneca vaccine. That follows reports of possible serious side effects, including blood clots. The company, though, found no evidence of an increased risk of clots. This vaccine has still not been approved here in the U.S., although an application to get approval may be pending. And number three, Moderna and Pfizer are now developing booster shots for the COVID vaccine because at this point, the CDC doesn't know how long protection from the initial shot will last. So the drug makers are working with the FDA to test a booster that would also protect against virus mutations. It's possible people will have to go back every year to get revaccinated. And those are three things to know about COVID this morning.
Well, it's been 6 months now since wildfires devastated Oregon. And over the weekend, people in Molalla came together to honor just a few of the volunteers who put their safety on the line to protect the community.
Yeah, when the deadly fires hit back in the fall, resources were already strapped. So neighbors and family members stepped up to fight the flames in their own backyards. In September, we met volunteers from one of the groups called the Hillbilly Brigade. Community heroes credited with saving hundreds of homes.
We have the Lebo Legends, the Ramsby Roughnecks, and the Hillbilly Brigade. They're all the firefighters that came together. On September 7th, 2020, various fires plagued the community, and what followed was an amazing display of personal sacrifice. Some 1,200 men and women spontaneously came together to fight fires and help their community in the greatest time of need.
Mollalla's fire chief says his town is still standing because of these volunteers. Congrats to them.